Well, let's continue with the second part of chapter number 11 on this lecture series on CCNA Cybersecurity Operations with me, Joachim Käverstad from the University of Skövde. It will be very interesting to see how many of you that are still with us and not yet tired of my voice and perhaps at times less than perfect English. But anyhow, let's talk a little bit about log files. What can be more fun? I suggest that you take this lecture and really repeat it several times, preferably a Friday evening, maybe accompanied by some drink made from grapes. Okay, so log files. What we are going to discuss is some different types of security data, end device logs, network logs, and as you know from experience now, those Cisco titles basically say nothing. So let's just see what we have to discuss. And it turns out that we will start with alert data. And alert data is basically data that is generated by an IDPS system as a result of traffic that match a rule or signature. So it's data or it's an alert from our intrusion detection prevention systems, simply. So one network-based IDPS that is free to use and very, very popular to use is Snort. We will talk a little bit about Snort and Snort rules. I'm not sure if it's in this lecture or a later chapter. Something that's very nice with Snort is that it comes pre-configured with rules for known exploits, and it's a very active community around Snort that works on the platform itself and on this rule set that is there to protect you against known exploits, essentially. Alerts from Snort can be viewed using graphical tools such as Snorby or Seagull. We will use Seagull in this tool course, so if you do the practicals, you will get an introduction to it. So let's talk about the levels or the types of logging data when we talk about network traffic logs. So first we have session and transaction data. And session data is a record of a conversation between two endpoints. And you can basically describe this as metadata about the session. So it tells us that a session occurred and some information about it. Basically, it contains identifying information such as the 5-tuple, which is the source and destination IP address, source and destination port number, and the IP protocol code. Then transaction data is the messages exchanged during a network session. Apart from this, we have, of course, full packet captures. Full packet captures are the most detailed network data that you can collect generally. It does contain session data, and it contains the data content of a session. So data content of a session can be extracted and analyzed for malware or whatever. So when we do full packet captures, we basically capture everything that's traversing a network, and a common tool to use for capture as well as analysis is Wireshark, that you will also be introduced to in the practicals in this course. But we also have more aggregated data or more abstracted data, and that is statistical data, which is extremely useful. And statistical data is, of course, statistical data of network traffic, and that will tell us, for instance, normal behavior and normal variance in a network. And this is a very important part of establishing a network baseline, which allows us to detect abnormalities. So two approaches for working with statistical data is network behavior analysis and network behavior anomaly detection. And a tool that you can use for this purpose is Cisco Cognitive Threat Analysis, that I will not go deeper into, but I'm sure there are a few pages in the material if you're interested. So host logs are log files from hosts, and those are important as they describe operational as well as security related events from different hosts. Operating system logs from the operating system can tell you a lot about the operating system, how it's used, who that is using it, logins, installed drivers, installed hardware, and so on and so forth. And we also have application logs that can provide detailed application-specific information. So one log file that we will work in the practical goals of this course is the Apache web server log files, and those can, for instance, detail HTTP transactions and HTTP requests sent to a server and tell us a lot about what is happening to that server. So we have log files from all those from all those different areas that comes from all different all types of different places, and we need some way to aggregate and make sense of all this data. And for that we use CM systems, and I'm just going to repeat here because we've been talking about CMs before. But essentially, a CM can take multiple amounts of input, so threat intelligence, net flow information, full package capture, information from anti-malware devices, IDPS information, firewall logs, system logs, and what it's used to is to aggregate this information and give it meaning. So it can aggregate and correlate all of this information and give us compliance reporting. How well are we complying with whatever rules we set up? We have nice dashboard and reports that can show us alerts in real time and statistics over whatever time span we want. We can have automated alerts, so we can see what is actually going on. We can aggregate different information. We can have alerts that are matched against threat intelligence, and so on and so forth. And it usually has a built-in incident management system, so there is a way for us to handle the alerts in a structured way. So for some reason, Cisco wanted to have the CM chapter just thrown in there between hosts and network logs, so now we are back to network logs. And when we talk about network logs, I want to mention TCP dump. That is a command line utility for dumping network traffic, and it can either display captured packages in real time. So if you're a very quick study, you can just read off the network traffic as it goes, or if your mind works a little bit slower like mine, you can store captured data to a file that can be analyzed in, for instance, Wireshark. We also have NetFlow, this nice Cisco technology that can be used to capture information about package flows using some IP packet attributes. The 5 tuple, source and destination IP, source and destination port, and network layer protocol. But it also includes class of service and router or switch interface. So this is basically for tracking flows in and out of a router or switch. When we talk about network logs, there are also different content filters, such as email and web filters, that will commonly log what's going on in terms of spam, in terms of web requests, so on and so forth. We can use web proxies that can help determine if responses from the web were generated in response to legitimate requests. So one way an attacker can try to attack us is to send phony web responses to our systems and see what happens. But if we have a web proxy in place that handles or tracks requests and responses, we can see if the responses we receive are actually the result of a request that we sent. And of course we have IDPS and firewalls that also log deny permit decisions, and all log data can assist in forming a view of the entire network. So that's it for logging. This was a rather brief chapter, at least from my side. I tried to skip the details, and I find that towards the end of the course there is a fair bit of overlap in the chapters, and I don't want to take your time by repeating myself. So this was it. I'll see you in a little while for chapter number 12. Until then, have a good day.